Welcome to Lizards of the Toast. And did you come for things like this? Like that? Like what? What the heck is that? All right. Like that? Oh. All right. And if you came for things like that, you're going to be really happy. If you want things like this too. And maybe something like that. And one of those. Oh, how's that happen? I don't know. All right. So what are we talking about today? Now, with the new set, we found some cards that make us really happy to do some fun things and revisit an old budget brew, buddy. All right. So just in time for Halloween, we have the Spooky Dookie here. Let's get right into it. Here's the main deck. So, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not 8-whack. We'll get our creatures here, and we will show you one of our golden pigs in here. All right, so we have Mr. Skirk here. Now, this can be sideboarded, but if we sacrifice a goblin, we can add 1 red to the mana pool. In theory, giving us 3 red mana on turn 2. We have 2 of those. Now, in addition, we have the Goblin Bushwhacker. It's got that kicker. Now, I like this one. This is a lot better than Reckless Bushwhacker. So, kicker, 1 red. So, for 2 red, when Goblin Bushwhacker enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. Of course, that includes the Bushwhacker himself. And we have a playset of those. So, Voldaren Epicure. Speaking of value, what's this vampire doing here? Why are you a vampire? I guess it's okay. She looks cool. She has an interesting hairdo. When Voldaren Epicure enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and create a bloodsy goopy doopy here. So let's get that blood token. Let's just review here. Where's it? It's gone. How does a blood token get away from us? We don't know how these things happen, but they do. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay, so blood token, sure. Hey. Boop. So she creates 1 of these. You can tap it, pay 1, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact to draw a card. Pretty neat. But we're mostly going to be smashing that because our goblins just like to smash things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just for that value. So we're going to be doing that damage, getting that blood token. That's Value Town, my friends. So here is somebody new. Look at that. This is going to end out our creature base here. So, Clockwork Percussionist. Dance to its beat, or it will dance on your grave. So bring your dancing shoes for this one, my friends. Pardon me. It has haste. It's 1 red. No downside there. 1/1. When the Clockwork Percussionist dies, exile the top card of your library. You may play it until the end of your next turn. So, we play Clockwork Percussionist. We sacrifice it. We get Value Town. And we get until our next turn to play that card. So that is just a little addition to our hand. We have 4 of these, of course. So this monkey toy is really cool. We love it. All right, man, I do apologize for the light. She's a little glaresome today, my friends. A little glaresome. I don't know why. All right, maybe you can do better that way. All right, that's okay. We'll do that. All right, so as I said, we got 4 of those Clockwork Percussionists. Now let's get into the non-creature things here. In fact, let's go ahead. Yep, there we go. Perfect. We'll start with our artifacts, our smashables, if you will. We have Mishra's Bauble. Now don't leave just yet, friends, because there's a new card from Modern Horizons 3 that's in here that's really good. So we have 4 of these baubles. This is a 0 mana artifact. Do we miss the Memnite in here? Sometimes we do, but there is no Memnite. So we have 3 of the baubles. It's 0. We can tap it and sacrifice it. It gives us more options there. Just like Chromatic Star. It's 1 mana, and when it enters the battlefield, when Chromatic Star is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. So get your pencils out. Get your pens. Get your pens out. Get ready to draw a card. All right. Just kidding. So, 2 of those in the main deck. And getting that mana, you're not going to want to have to do that. That's going to be bad Zos for you. What we really want to do is just put that in the graveyard from the battlefield, get to draw a card, and get the sacrificing of an artifact, which is a huge payoff for us. So we have Experimental Synthesizer, kind of sidelined here. Used to be 4, now it is 3. So when it enters or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library until end of turn, not next turn. You may play that card. Now, if we if we pay 2, tap 2 lands and a red source, we can sacrifice Experimental Synthesizer and create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance activate at sorcery speed. But we have a token in here. Have we done it a couple times? We have. Not necessarily in this deck, though. So that is our artifacts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 artifacts, but actually we have 13 lucky artifacts with our Clockwork Percussionist there. So let's talk about... Perfect. All right. So we have Shrapnel Blast, one of the showpieces here as well. As an additional cost to play Shrapnel Blast, sacrifice an artifact. And we have plenty of those to break. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of this instant for 1 mana and 1 red. Man. All right. Anyways, forgive me. Okay. Flare of Duplication. I got so excited about it I couldn't even talk. It's an instant. It's 1 and 2 red, but we're not paying that. We're not. No. You may sacrifice a non-token red creature rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's pretty big. So let's just say I have our Clockwork Percussionist out, a red source. So if we have Clockwork and a Skirk, see how that works? So a Clockwork and a Skirk walk onto a playmat. And we go ahead and Shrapnel Blast a Skirk. We go ahead and sacrifice the Skirk. Play the Flare of Duplication. We can get 10 damage across the table there. So 10 damage, just like that, friends. That is nothing to shirk the Skirk about, am I right? It's nothing to shirk. Right? Shirk? To shirk is to shrug off as nonsensical. But it's nothing. The Skirk would never shirk this. All right, anyways. Flare of Duplication. I have seen similar deck lists running 3, but we like 4. Because we can always sideboard 1 if we want, right? So that rounds out the instance. Now we are at our sorcery. So, sorcery. Who doesn't like a good sauce? So our Goblin Grenade is a wonderful sauce. We sacrifice a Goblin to have Goblin Grenade deal 5 damage to 1 target. So there we go again. Goblins get sacrificed. Flare of Duplication will work the same way, creating that beautiful bop 'em on the head that we love so well here. And our Goblin Grenade, of course we're running 4 because it's 1 red mana and we have plenty of goblins to use it on. We have Gleeful Demolition. All right, oh, the glee. So this is right here. Irabrask encouraged creativity in all its forms, even the destructive ones, especially the destructive ones. So look at these annoying creatures here. Destroy target artifact. If you controlled that artifact, create 3 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature tokens. So much better than Kuldotha. Just because we can destroy artifact. And if it was ours, which it most of the time is, but still we can destroy somebody else's. A little bit of options. We like options. So 4 of those, of course. We have Kuldotha. As an additional cost to cast Kuldotha, sacrifice an artifact. Put 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. See, this is the variety of goblins that you see that are just goblin creatures, but also there's a subvariant, the Phyrexian goblin. However, they are red. Both of these are red. They are red, so they're tokens that we can sacrifice to the ding-dang Duffy over here. To the ding-dang Flare of Duplication, boys and girls. Brothers, sisters, and siblings. Let's look at this now. All right. 4 of those. Now look at this single card right here. What is that? Oh, that's expensive. This is a budget deck. Just settle down. I know it's a little bit expensive, but it's so worth it if you can fit it into the deck. 2 of them I don't think is worth it. But this in your hand is so good. So, Underworld Breach for 1 and a red. Each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. That's so good because late in the game, if we've sacrificed things, and with this deck, I mean late in the game being like turn 3 and 4, if we've sacrificed things that we might want to bring back, our graveyard's going to have stuff in it that's good. So sacrifice things or exile the things from the graveyard and play it out. Play it out, my friends. It's going to be so fun. So we can do that to recur things that we don't want to just go away. Now, we have a slim mana base. Slim mana. This mana has been on a diet and it's slim. I'm just kidding. It's not that slim. However, we do have some utility lands here. We have Barbarian Ring. We can tap, add 1 red to the mana pool. It deals 1 damage to us. Who cares? Actually, we do care about that, but that's okay. For another day. Threshold, we can pay 1 and tap it and sacrifice it. It deals 2 damage to target creature or player. It does something, right? Activate this ability only if there's 7 or more cards in your graveyard. Okay. It can do it. We like it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 lands. And the Embereth, we have 3 of that. So Castle Embereth enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain. It's ridiculous to think that we wouldn't. We can tap it. Just tap it. That's fine. That's good. Just tap it and add red. 1 and 2 red. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So really that's going to cost us 4. But it's +1/+0 until end of turn. It's going to just push those goblins ahead a little bit. And it's just like a mountain. Why not, right? And for our mountain, somebody wrote on that. Who did that? It's okay. I think it's the guy that did the picture. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mountains. So we are going to have these mountains in our hands. I'm just sure of it. So we're not really worried about Castle Embereth, coming in tapped, which would be a nightmare. Like if you had like 2 of them in your hand. Not happened to me though. The odds are not good for that to happen. So it's going to happen. As soon as I go to do something on camera, it will happen. Now let's talk about this slide board. See it slide in like that? Isn't that fancy? All right. There we go. So there's different ways now that you can come across things. So if we're playing, say, like a opponent that has like a non-creature strategy, right? It would be advantageous for us to go ahead and throw in 2 Goblin Guides because it's a 2/2 for 1 with haste. And sometimes this right here will give us an insight into the colors our opponent's playing if we see a land on top. So getting to see something, yeah, if it's a land, it goes on into their hand, but at the same time, we get to see something. So for sideboarding speculation while you're playing the game, it's good to be able to see that land. So it'll also add 2 more goblins out. So 2/2 goblins that can be sacrificed to do Goblin Grenade. So really, let's say we sacrifice Goblin Grenade, swing in on turn 2 with two of these, hit 1 with Goblin Grenade, and we are going to be mighty happy there. So that is why the Skirk Prospector kind of would work in this instance as well, because we can generate that mana. So just think, let's say Skirk Prospector, right? Turn 1. Turn 2, we hit an artifact, create 3 goblins, get 3 mana, play 2 Goblin Guides. We swing in for 4, and then with our 1 leftover mana, we go ahead, hit 1 of these, sack it, and do the 5 damage via Goblin Grenade. Then we sacrifice our other Goblin Guide and play our wonderful card, Flare of Duplication, which is going to do that again. So that will be 14 damage. Like I said, was that turn 2 I said? Yes, turn 2. Not going to happen every time, but 14 damage turn 2 with as many fetch lands as we see in the format is pretty dang good, friends. So we have Soul Guide Lantern as a 1 here. Just something good to throw on the pile with our other artifacts, because it enters the battlefield. We can exile target card from a graveyard. That's not as relevant as it used to be with the banning of grief. We can tap it, sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern, exile each opponent's graveyard. We can pay 1 and sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern, draw a card. Probably not going to be doing that too much. But again, it gives us some options. And it's still going to hit a graveyard for something. So that's very useful. We have 1 of those. the Pithing Needle. Let's punish fetch lands, eh? Or anything else that we don't want anything doing any hijinks. And it's an artifact for 1 mana. So we can choose the card name, and just how nice to be able to sacrifice this as well if we need to. Now, let's say if we want to grind it out a little bit. We have a player that's trying to move fast or go underneath of us. Oh, I don't think so. We are going to play these 2 Dragon's Claws in the main deck. Whenever a player casts a red spell, you may gain 1 life. Now, that going into it, I should just say, if we were to use these Dragon's Claws from the sideboard, they're going to go hand and step with these 2 Blood Moons, these 2 Ghostfire Slices if our opponent is running a multicolored deck. We have 4 Lightning Bolts just to keep it open. So in that instance, that's where we'd lean heavily on Goblin and Artifact Sacrifice and controlling the board and going for a little longer gameplay, where we'd use like kind of like almost like weird red stacks pieces. So Blood Moon, Dragon's Claw, and then Ghostfire Slice, which can do 8 damage if played correctly. So, like I said, it's very fast and it's got this removal. So we don't need to rely on, like I said, our creature base. So going back at it real quick. Let me see here. Okay. Let's look at that creature base again. Okay, so our Bushwhackers are good to go. They will stay. Epicure, probably a good creature to keep. I would say Skirk Prospector. But to take it a step further, just to show, we go boom, boom. If we're going to play Staxy Waxy, all right. What I would do, to be honest, is I would take, I know it sounds crazy, but the Epicure would come out. So where are we at? There's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We keep our Bushwhacker. Or should we keep the Bushwhacker? Yeah, because we don't want to get heavy on just artifact stuff. So we have enough artifacts in there at the moment, I think, where, yeah, I think that would be our creature base, and then we'd replace it with these Staxy artifacts, and then just focus on hitting our opponent with those big old swoopy doopies with that Flarrel duplication. And then, of course, if they're playing something that's tapping away at our life, use that. But say we don't feel like we need these 2. We get those Staxier pieces in there. Take back our Voldaren Epicure. And if we want to play a little more of an aggressive game, I'd say something like that. So it's a pretty versatile sideboard. I like that about it. Gives us a lot of options. And that's just what you want in the modern format. So I feel like this deck has pretty good options against whatever we are going to come against. So thanks for joining me. We'll do some more deck tech videos on this, and I'll show you some of the tricks it does. And this month, we're going to see some wonderful gameplay against this deck. So thank you for joining me. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one.